Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys I'm actually recording inside because I tried recording earlier outside and there's a lot of background noise, so I apologize even though I'm being inside if you hear a lot of loud banging and noise outside. They're doing a lot of construction work today still, so I do apologize for that. But today guys, we're going to be talking about the July 2015 ban list, my thoughts on it. I just got the message a couple minutes ago from my buddy that the ban list was out. Looked it up to make sure it was the legit ban list and not some fake ban list. And once I can confirm it, I decided to do this video and talk about my initial thoughts on it. I've looked over the ban list about one time and had about 2 minutes to gather my thoughts about it. So without further ado, let us get started. So the first thing they really did is they freaking banned Djin Releaser. So Djin Releaser went from 3 to 1. I know a lot of people were complaining about the Djin lock. I talked about when I did my ARG ban list about my thoughts about it. That I was okay with it. I thought that there were a lot of ways of getting over Releaser. At the end of the day, there's a whole bunch of ways, and I think a lot of things like Bull Blader and whatever else people were playing is going to go back to the common box because Djin Releaser is now banned, and to some extent makes Nekroz a little bit more balanced, I guess you could say. But at the end of the day, do I feel it was, ban worthy? Yeah, I guess you could argue about that. Do I think it could come back to 1 in the future? Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, Vanity's Emptiness is at 1 and Djin Release was kind of like the same thing. Even though, I think after they phase out Nekroz, Djin Release could go back to 1, and I think nobody would say anything else about it, really. The one thing I have with this ban list, the one main problem I have with this ban list is that they banned Lavalval Chain. That really got my goat. Now, I know people for the last, literally, only like 3 weeks have been freaking up in arms about Lavalval Chain should be banned, it's a degenerate card, etc, etc, etc. And I talked about when I was talking about the ARG ban list that I felt like Lavalval Chain was unjustly banned, and still, I feel like it's unjustly banned. And to quote Winston Churchill, if you guys don't know who he is, he was the Prime Minister during World War II for Great Britain. We were fighting the streets, we were fighting the cities, we were fighting the fields, we were fight to the last ditch. We shall never give up. And I'm going to say the same thing about Lavalval Chain. I will, say the same thing to people that turn blue in the face and say to me, Lavalval Chain's a ban-worthy card. I disagree with you. And I've talked with a lot of people and they feel the same way. It's not a ban-worthy card. You hit the releaser. It's a degenerate card in some decks. I think you could have gone from 3 to 1, tried it out as a one-of, and then if you still felt like it was a degenerate card enough, you could ban it. If you really felt that bad about it. And a lot of people felt that same way that I've talked to over the last 2 weeks about this, ever since this, up in arms thing about, Lavalval Chain after Nationals, got up in arms about it. Do I see Lavalval Chain maybe coming back in the future? Yes, I think it could, and I think nobody would be that upset. I feel like it's just, like I said before, and I'll say it again, I feel it's unjustly banned. I don't agree with it. That's the one thing on this list I do not agree with. Completely and cold-heartedly. I think, it's not even the fact that I own Lavalval Chain where it hurts really any of my decks besides Insectors. It's just the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, I don't know why you need to ban it. Are you that scared of Clown Blade coming out of Class of Rebellions, even though we don't have, Infinity coming out over here anytime soon? Are you really that scared of that deck? Are you scared of Blue-Blooded Oni that much? Come on! Really? Name me about 20 decks that can freaking beat that, that card breaks, in some way, shape, or form. It's a good rank 4, it's a solid staple card, but you do have to invest cards into it. Just saying. Just saying. Well, are you that afraid of heroes or something like that? I don't get why it's banned. I really don't. And people could argue with me and say, well, it's this and that reason for being banned. I still think that and I still believe that if a card goes from 3 to 0, you better have a dang good reason for doing that. It must be so super duper degenerate, like the Djin Releaser. But you already hit that. So why are you hitting this? And then, are you that scared of other decks that abuse it? Really? You couldn't just try it out at 1, you had to ban it right there? Really? That's what I'm just going to say to that. Just my thoughts, and if you want to disagree with me, you have your right to your own opinion, but it's stuck in my mind. That card's unjustly banned. So, no spells got banned. So none of the Nekroz spells got banned. No traps got banned. The next thing we have is Shuret Strategist of the Nekroz got limited to 1. That's a little interesting. I don't know if on the OCG ban list he got limited. I know Unicorn got limited, but Unicorn's not on this list at all, which is kind of strange. I was really expecting it, to follow suit with the OCG ban list and the ARG ban list even. Unicorn hit that. That's a problem, But apparently Konami thought otherwise and thought Shuret would be the more optimal one, I guess you could say. And I could see why. I can see it. I understand it. Because it's kind of like a free summon, so okay. And the one thing that really made me happy and smiled finally was Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barriers, is back at 1. Not the Ritual, the Synchro. That brought back a lot of nostalgia for me, the days when Infinity used to abuse it and Six Samurais could play it. The nostalgia back when it was not just at 1, but when it was really broken with some decks, and you were really scared of Trishula, and really put the fear in us old school players that played through that, the fear of Trishula and being Trishula. It's back at 1, and I had felt like it was always going to come back eventually. Since I saw it in the OCG ban list at 1, I said it'll come back eventually, and this is 2 years ago. I'm talking about when we had the split between the OCG and the TCG ban list. And I said to myself, eventually it'll come over here. Then I saw Trishula, the Ritual monster. I said, eventually it's going to definitely 100% come back eventually. Eventually. And I was like, okay, it's not back yet. Before, they got dropped. Last ban list, no, it wasn't back yet. And here it is finally. I knew it was coming back eventually, and I'm happy I picked mine up for about $5. A couple months ago, like 2 years ago. I know those DT Trishulas, though, are going to go up in price like crazy. They've always been a high price card. Now they're going to go really up because it's a legal card nowadays. And I'll say this also. Even though I am very upset and disappointed and I don't agree with Lavalval Chain being banned, I kind of look at it like this. Trishula, Lavalval Chain. Trishula, Lavalval Chain. Trishula, Lavalval Chain. Kind of evens itself out, kind of, to me in some respects. Though I do love Lavalval Chain. Though I think it's going to be fun to see some Trishula-based decks. And I think that may come out. They're trying to do that to support the Synchro deck coming out. Structure deck, excuse me. Nothing else in the limited section. Really surprised about that, kind of. Atlantean Dragoons went to 2. Even though Mermails haven't done anything, and they've literally been quiet for just about a year almost now, I guess you could say, and argue with. I don't want to mess with fire with Dragoons going back to 2, please. Especially whenever the Atlantean Marksman girl, whatever, the one with the pike, that's OCG exclusive right now, comes out over here. I don't want to be playing with fire, really. I really don't. Please. So I think what's going to happen with Mermail cards is they're going to go up in price for a bit, and then they're going to go back down until the Marksman girl comes out. I think it would be maybe a little bit wise if you really like Mermails to maybe pick up some of the stuff for cheap, or sell it now. I don't know. I'm going to leave that to you, but I think you're going to see a rise in Mermails being played a little bit. I don't know how good the deck's going to be, especially with everything that floats nowadays, but it's cool to see that back. Do I think... I mean, it's a good searcher card, so what can I say? Dragon's Ravine. It's gone back to 2. Cool. That can go back to 3 next ban list. I don't care. Glow Up Ball went to 1 to 3. Sinister Serpent went from 1 to 3. Dark Strike Fighter went from 1 to 3. Sacred Swords of the 7 Stars went from 2 to 3. Temple of the Kings went from 1 to 3. And Exchange of Spirit went from 1 to 3. Most of those cards already had the errata with them. If they didn't, then I'd be like, if they didn't have the errata, I'd be like, this is madness. But that is the ban list. So, my thoughts on those cards that came off. I think the main thing we can take away from this is Lavalval Chain got banned, and I think it was unjustly banned. You can argue with me, like I said to you, blue in the face. I'm going to keep saying it. Trishula came back. the synchro version. Shenanigans! Some fun times ahead, I hope. Now you get to feel what we used to feel when the synchro version of Trishula is dropped on you. They've unleashed Trishula again from its tomb! Ah! From its icy tomb, I guess you could say. Atlanteans, Dragoons went back to 2. I think those are the 3 main things you could take away from this ban list. But there's other things you can take away from this ban list as well. We're going to go into more discussion. They hit Nekroz, which I guess you could say we could all agree, or to some extent agree, that they were technically maybe the best deck of the deck, best deck of the format, excuse me. Even though we did see other decks top. Shaddolls, Burning Abyss, Stellar Knights, Cleaport. These decks did top. Ritual Beast, I'll say meh. Yosinju's meh. But you know what I'm trying to say here. They didn't hit any of these decks. That's the one thing that's glaring me right in the face. Like, where are these other decks? Do you really feel like they're not that powerful? I was like, I'm kind of like looking at the ban list, I'm just like kind of shocked not to see it. And then it dawned on me as I was texting with my friend one time, I said, I don't see any of these other cards being hit. Why they're not hit? Because the fact of the matter is, 2 weeks ago, Konami announced on their page, you know, we're almost done making the ban list, guys. Don't worry, it'll be here soon. I guess soon in Konami's terminology means 2 freaking weeks. Yeah, that seems really soon. Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is they made it and they brought it up to be this big thing, like they were going to change the format and everything, and things were going to really change for the better. They didn't do that, I don't think. They did not deliver. It was really, from reading with my friends and texting with my friend, it feels like it's a letdown, kind of. This ban list kind of feels like a letdown. And the fact of the matter is, then you have to keep in mind as well that ban lists can come at any time nowadays. We could be 2 weeks from now and another ban list comes out. Or a week from now, or a month from now, there could be another ban list coming out. We don't know. And that is a scary, scary thought in today's game. That you can invest in product and then Konami hits it right away. Like a week after or 2 weeks after you buy it. You can invest a whole bunch of money and then Konami hits it. That's a scary, scary, scary thought. Because on the ban list, there's no end date. And they talked about that in the article they did a couple weeks ago. They're not doing that no more. They're leaving it as an open end date, and the ban list can come at any time. Now, I'll say this. That's really scary. I think it's a bad business decision. I know that people with this ban list that just came out were even scared for the last 16 days, literally, or more than that, about 20 days, as we were nearing what we thought was the ban list going to be coming out in early July. We're so scared that nobody was doing really trades, selling. People were selling their stuff, but nobody was buying stuff. So prices really tanked. And really, you go to locals, unless they were very cheap decks that you were not afraid to invest in, nobody's making big trades. Everybody's running around like going, I'm waiting for the ban list before I make my move. I'm waiting for the ban list before I make my move. And that's scary, that the fact of the matter is, it could come at any time nowadays. It could come a month from now. 2 weeks from now, we could have another ban list. We don't know. And that just scares me as a Yu-Gi-Oh player, because that seems like a little bit too much power for Konami to just be able to drop a ban list whenever they freaking please. And that could affect how I spend money with the decks I build and things like that. It kind of scares me, and I will be honest with that. It does scare me that Konami has the power to do that now. I feel that if it was a set time when the ban list ends, I think there was no problem with that, really. There never had been. They've been doing it for freaking 13, 14 years. Why do it now? And I feel like the format got so stale, you know, at the tail end of this format. It just got really stale because everybody's just waiting on the ban list, waiting on the ban list, waiting on the ban list. The ban list is not here. The ban list is not here. We're bored, we're bored, we're bored. ARG ban list, ARG ban list, ban Lavalval Chain, ban Lavalval Chain. Things like this. It just goes like, oh my gosh. You know, and I feel like it's a scary thing. And I said the same thing, and I will admit it. You can look at my video I did 2 years ago when I talked about with the splitting of the OCG and TCG, and you know, that ban list in particular, which I think was a bigger shakeup than anything previously. You know, all the traps got hit, heavy storm got hit, etc., etc. That was a scary ban list. Why was it a scary ban list? Because so much got changed, and I felt like that could have been a bad thing. I thought, you know, with these shorter formats, Konami could have used their power more, but they really didn't to some extent. They actually made the game a little bit healthier, kept it a little bit more fresh. I liked them. I liked the 4-month formats. Those were really, really good instead of the 6-month formats, which just dragged on with the same deck. This, with the ban list coming out whenever, is just really scary, though. The fact that there's no end date, that scares me. Not for the end of the game, nothing like that. I'm just saying it scares because of investing something into the game and then it gets shot. You get like, ha ha ha, Konami trolls you. That's scary. So that's just my thoughts. I think that eventually they will hit the decks they need to hit, Shaddolls, you know, Stellar Knights, whatever, in the future. I think they're probably going to be waiting for the tins to drop, the reprints. They don't want to hit the reprints, that hurts sales. And then after that drops, they may hit those decks. So that's even scary. I don't want to invest in the tins really because stuff could get hit, and then, you know, it's like, why did I invest in it? It got hit. It's like a win-win situation. It's like, if you gave me an end date, yeah, I would buy it because I know, okay, I got this much time to play it, and then, you know, etc., etc. But taking all the factors in consideration, I don't think Konami should do that. I think they have to have an end date because it scares the bejeebus out of a lot of players. And I'm talking about me and other players I've talked to. But tell me your thoughts on this ban list. I think it was kind of a letdown. Not saying that they didn't hit all these decks, etc., etc. That makes it a bad ban list. No, I just think it was a little biased in Lavalval Chain. I think it just, the fact that there's no end date scares me. That's the main thing I'm taking away from this. Even though I knew this a couple weeks ago, I was going to make a separate video, but I decided to just clump it all together in this video, guys. So tell me what you think of this ban list. I know probably a lot of you guys were saying, I wish they hit this, I wish they hit that, ARG ban list is better, etc., etc. And everybody has the right to their opinion. I don't think this. I think the Konami ban list is a lot better than the ARG ban list, no matter what. You know, granted, they didn't hit Shaddolls in this Konami ban list. They didn't hit this, they didn't hit that, you know, but still, it's a little bit more versatility, I think. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see. I'll just say this as in this video. It's gonna be interesting to see how the game of Yu-Gi-Oh progresses in the next 6 months, I guess you could say. It's gonna be interesting to see how it develops and how Konami and ARG interact. It's gonna be interesting. But till next time, guys, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling, and I'll see all of you guys next time. Seto Kaba, I'm out of here, guys, till next time, and good luck dueling to all of you. Take care, everybody, and tell me what you think of this ban list.